Welcome back. A health alert for you this morning. Researchers recently announced an important discovery in the fight against pancreatic cancer. The discovery showed that a gene that can slow the growth and spread of the cancer can be switched off by the disease. Here to tell us more about what that means is Dr. Chanel Bagwenden, Medical Director, Gastrointestinal Surgical Oncology Program at the Anderson Family Cancer Institute, Jupiter Medical Center. All right, we're trying to make it sound as simple as possible because I know it's not simple. Explain this to us because unfortunately, when I think of pancreatic cancer, I immediately think, oh, that's unfortunately in many cases a death sentence.
Yeah, which is why this is important to talk about because it really gives us some more insight into understanding the disease. But to simplify it a little bit, we have switches in our house that can trip an outlet, and this gene is almost akin to finding that circuit breaker because if you don't know where to flip that switch, we don't necessarily know how it works and how it can turn off. But essentially what happened is that researchers were able to identify a gene known as hepatocyte nuclear factor 4A, or HNF4A.
That's what I thought it was called.
Right, exactly. That can be switched off in pancreas cancer. And this is a gene that's been known about. It's a very important gene. It has a lot of downstream regulation. And in fact, and what's important for our viewers, is that this gene has also been linked to diabetes.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, when you find a gene like this that you can then alter, right? Is that what you're doing? You're altering
it's even more, taking it a step further to understand how that gene affects the downstream molecules, turns on and off different aspects of diseases that affect our pancreas. But with an aggressive cancer like this, what we found is that, or what they found rather, is that the gene is switched off very early in the diagnosis. And it really speaks to why this is such an aggressive disease in cancer, is that once that gene is switched off, it then becomes unchecked and it can move throughout the body very quickly. And what they also found is that that also lends itself to survival, is that patients where that gene was found to be switched off in pancreas cancer, they tend to have a poor survival. So really understanding that has allowed and even begged the question to say, well, if we can't necessarily alter the gene or switch it back on, is there a potential to utilize certain medications to target the actionable areas that it may function to? And just alluding to the context of diabetes is that there are certain drugs that are available right now that are used to treat diabetics that have this specific correlation with this gene. So down the road, we may see the opportunity there that to use the similar mechanisms or drugs to affect pancreas cancer.
So a patient comes in today and they've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And now, are you to the point where that's one of the first things you check is what is that gene doing?
Well, we're learning more about it. Right now, you know, in the context of diagnosing pancreas cancer, Jupiter Medical Center is a center of excellence for pancreas cancer. So a lot of that entails the workup and the difficulty with even making the diagnosis, making sure it's correct, but also recommending treatment. It's less right now that we have a treatment that we're going to be able to go backwards and look at that specific gene.
But just to even find this information out is huge, probably for cancer diagnosis just in general.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly where this is going, because this is a diagnosis that it's the third most deadliest cancer that we're seeing, and we really have to make great strides to understand the disease better, how to treat it effectively, and have more patients that can, if they develop an early cancer or they're more, let's say, genetically predisposed to develop a pancreas cancer, if we can identify those patients, the potential is there that we can catch it early and then effectively treat it.
Really good information, and it's exciting. We have to go, but can you just really fast, even though my producer is going to be like, no, what are the signs and symptoms of pancreatic?
Yeah, very non-specific, but low back pain, upper back pain, weight loss, sometimes jaundice, yellowing of the eyes and skin. Patients should always talk to their doctor and seek care if those symptoms and signs come up.
All right, thank you. I feel like we do a disservice not to share those things, because you never know, one person being touched to be able to diagnose something like this early is important. If you want more information about what we just talked about, you can go rewatch this interview right after this show on our website, WPBF.com. Doctor, thank you.
Thank you.